Hello guys, this is Javier, and welcome to Top 10 Worst Cartoons. It is by Phantom Strider. I do not own anything in this video. To check out the original video without my commentary, you can go to Phantom Strider. Link to the video should be in the description down below, and if not, I am sorry. But let's go.
Here we go. It's time once again to return to that weird corner of YouTube. Regardless of age, most of us have cartoons that we thoroughly enjoy. However, there are also
Really loud.
abysmally bad cartoons out there.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah,
There
that
have
one's
always been cartoons
so
with garbage
freaking
animation,
retarded.
stupid plots, nail-bitingly
I
bad
hate
voice acting,
Bubsy.
and unpleasant or just plain annoying characters. Most of these cartoons
That
reach the
one
point of being
and that one
insultingly
are the
bad,
most retarded ones
to the point where you
I've seen.
desperately hope someone was fired for taking any part in making these cartoons. So this time, I'd like to take a break from mainstream animation and take a look back at the top 10 worst cartoons of all time. Just a warning ahead that while most of these cartoons aren't too grotesque, some of them can get pretty vile. As always, I'll try and give some warning if it's going to get particularly bad, but just an
What
early heads
the
up.
heck?
Anyway, on to the countdown. Number 10. Patti the Pelican. Let's go back a few years, and I mean right back to 1950. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if a stuttering alien wrote, voiced, and directed a bunch of doodles that looked like smushed beetles? Well, this was that bizarre
no, not
alien's
really.
crowning achievement. Perhaps the first truly awful cartoon ever produced. It is all voiced by one person.
I haven't done anything to you. I swear I haven't done anything. Do you mean to tell me you have the nerve to stand?
The voice acting is hilariously awful. I mean, it's not insulting. In
What?
fact, it's the most boring, lazy piece of animation I have ever seen. There is absolutely no sound effects, and there is barely any animation at all. It is so perfectly awful that this list simply wouldn't be complete without it. I mean, look at this.
Huh.
The lip syncing
That
doesn't even
Popeye?
attempt to match what's being said.
You both Mr. Beachcomber. We saw an empty boat floating around.
You'd swear this guy was just making the lines up as he went along. I realize it was made in 1950, but hell, we got Fantasia in 1940. So animation that doesn't look like smushed beetles was possible. Credit where credit's due though. This guy obviously did the whole cartoon himself on a 20-cent budget. And chances are he blew that budget on paying some hobo to sit through the premiere. It's bad, but hey, it didn't leave me sick, so it's pretty high on the list. And for number 9,
Go.
Nutshack.
Sorry about
This
that.
is one
What?
of those sad shows that thinks by
What?
slapping adults only on their product, they'll get people to laugh at jokes about molesting dolphins.
And I like to give butthole pleasures to farm animals. Take the baby dolphin and I rape him.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. One of those shows
What?
that is stupid enough to be legally announced brain dead.
Raped a baby dolphin. That is not something you hear every day. What the heck?
At first, I wondered about this one. Surely it can't be that bad. The animation wasn't terrible, the female voice actor was okay, but by 5 minutes in, something was beginning to dawn on me. I suddenly felt like slamming my fist into my computer screen. It was at that moment I realized this cartoon was annoying, incredibly annoying. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the one same male voice actor putting on different accents for each scene. The plot is impressively stupid, involving revolutionary concepts like encouraging girls to get breast implants because they bother to take care of their appearance, or turning a bunch of guys into circus freak shows in the name of good looks, or
What?
gay and incest jokes. Classy. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel of adult cartoons in this one. It is one of the most lowbrow, aggravating cartoons I've ever watched. There was only
seems
one voice in
annoying.
this show that didn't
Without
make me
even
feel
having
like
to hear
slamming
it.
my fist through my monitor. And that was the one female character in the show. Even the theme song sounds more like a
What?
mantra your friend repeats to you to annoy you on a road trip. Okay, it's a nutshell. Okay, it's a nutshell. Okay. Alright. Repeatedly stating the title of your show does not constitute as legit lyrics.
Oh, nice.
It will far more likely send your
Lighten it
viewers
up
into berserk
on
rages.
TV.
Fortunately, this one is pretty rare, but I'd definitely give it a skip if you find it. Number 8.
Mickey Mouse on
Red
drugs.
Oh god, I thought Nutcheck was bad. This show is just the most annoying show I've ever watched. It's
Yes,
like
it
combining
is.
One Direction with rap music, fart jokes, and blending it all together into some executive's grotesque pink duck paste. Hell, this crap makes Nutcheck look like deep existential introspection. This is the dumbest thing Nickelodeon has ever produced by far. Something like Invader Zim might
Yeah.
be considered controversial, but you know what?
Invader Zim
It
was
challenges
a really
young
good
viewers.
show.
It both
see why
entertains
they had
and
to
manages to
cancel
make
it.
people question their world. This cartoon is just some executive's wet dream. There is just no heart in this show. The rapping is unbearable. I feel like a part of my brain died from just the first episode. I realize their primary demographic is probably less than 7 years old, but surely adults should be able to watch this with their kids without getting the sudden urge to go hunting at the nearest duck pond. And half the time, the two characters just continually shake their butts at the screen. I think the show's about two ducks running a bread delivery
That
van?
basically is what
I
happens
know they
through
can
the
level
whole
up their
show.
butts to use them as weapons. That probably gives you an indication of just how much intelligence this show has. There is absolutely zero substance to this show. It's like the equivalent of green fairy floss. It tastes like crap, it's bad for you, and can only be appreciated by those between the 4 and 6 year old demographic. I mean, listen to this ear sodomy for 5 seconds and tell me you don't suddenly feel more annoyed.
Crazy 'cause we can. Crazy, crazy, crazy 'cause we can. Kick your body, punch your cheek, your feathers, make your pants dance.
Oh my god, is it getting louder?
It's like giving a 6-year-old a 2-liter bottle of red cordial and a duck whistle and then sitting down with him to discuss algebra. Surely the new generations deserve better than this. There are technically worse shows out there,
I hate
but this
this
is by
show
far
so
the most
much.
annoying cartoon I have ever watched. I personally think kids and parents deserve better than this. Way better. Number 7. Mr. Pickles.
It's only been an hour since the abortion.
Not just beer, it's beer rights!
14 seconds in, and they've already made 2 jokes so stupid that I think part of my brain just died. Oh god, this episode goes for 11 minutes. And this is the pilot. This episode is intended to impress executives.
What the
This
heck?
show is pretty vile. Another of those
There's something wrong
unfortunate
with that
cartoons
dog.
made with the intention of being for quote-unquote adults. In other words, prepare for some pointlessly smutty, stupid one-liners spoken by stoners with the intelligence of a cheese stick. The animation's particularly lazy and ugly in this one. It has some of the cheapest shock value jokes I've ever seen, even by Family Guy standards.
Really?
Its colors all seem to be a very special shade of vomit, and every moment I look at it, I swear it's gotten worse. There's no real direction to the story, it just meanders along, jumping from one thing to the next whenever it gets bored of itself. So it jumps to another scene every 3 seconds or so. I definitely don't recommend this one.
That
Definitely give
dog
it a
just
skip.
humped that bear, and the bear
And
just
number
took it.
6, Mega Babies. This show actually manages to make Rugrats look like Citizen Kane. You ever had one of those childhood memories that you weren't sure was real and desperately hoped it wasn't? Mega Babies was one of those memories for me. I thought I dreamt this cartoon up in some demented fantasy, but no, it was real. And it's a cartoon that makes me physically sick. Imagine Invader Zim with a quarter of the animation budget, none of the intelligence, and 20 times as annoying. These kids are just nightmare hellspawn versions of Rugrats. This cartoon
What?
is just so
The heck?
gross, snotty, and ugly. It's like watching a baby sneeze up on someone repeatedly and inserting a laugh track. This is actually one of the few shows on this list I actually saw as a young child, and I still vividly remember being completely grossed out by this show. What executive actually thought it was a good idea to make a show about 3 infants sneezing, crapping, and screaming all the time? This one is terrible. Skip this one at all costs. Number 5. The Brothers Grunt. Over the years, MTV has given us some bad shows, but this is easily among the most ugly, grotesque animation I've ever watched. It's not only incredibly lazily animated, but the animation's just unpleasant and gross at the same time. There really isn't any real sound effects to this show. It's more like this constant gurgling and moaning and groaning emanating from your speakers. Every sound that comes out of my speaker either sounds more like a duck being strangled or is a gurgling fart noise.
The water of Brutus. It will protect you in embarrassing situations, perhaps fresh and minty.
This is definitely one of the ugliest pieces of animation I have ever seen. There is no sense to this cartoon either. Every moment is
wrong
just
with these
painful to
animators.
watch, hear, and feel. It even has these bizarre moments where it'll phase into live action while singing some gibberish song. This makes so little sense, I would say it falls into the league of making anti-sense. These characters, these abominations of nature, I think they're looking for their long-lost brother Perry or something, but they don't actually do all that much. They just mainly groan and squeal and flail their limbs. I'd say don't watch this cartoon, but honestly, it's near impossible to find, even on VHS. And honestly, thank God. Number
There's some
4.
fairly vile scenes in this
King
one.
Star King. Okay, now we're getting into some of the grosser territory. I don't know how to describe this one.
What?
This tops the chart as the stupidest, grossest thing Adult Swim has ever brought out. The show's apparently
Oh my God.
about King Star King as he falls from a higher plane of existence to work as a fry cook in a Waffle House. And to return to this higher plane of existence, he must defeat the evil Spring Bunny. This is what the show claims to be
Spring
about,
Bunny.
but all I ever saw was a bloody, gory drug trip for bikers. It's hard to know what to make of this phasey, ugly
Really?
mess. King Star King is really ugly animation. There isn't a moment of animation you won't feel like losing your lunch. But the creepy part about this show is, I get the feeling someone's actually getting personal gratification from this show, rather than having the normal reaction of upchucking their lunch. Is this all part of someone's personal fetish, their kink? I mean, I've no problem with that as long as they're not hurting anyone. But did they really need to make a show about their body-swallowing, eyeball, pancake, asphyxiation, teeth-pulling maggot fetish? This reached a point where it was so insanely part of someone's personal body-swallowing, eyeball, pancake, asphyxiation, teeth-pulling
God, she was actually
maggot
naked.
fetish? This reached a point where it was so insanely bad that it crashed my computer. This show is so bad that its vileness managed to break through and crash my OS. I don't recommend this one.
The heck?
At all. At all, at all, at all. And for number 3, Drawn Together, the movie. I knew from the start this one would be among the worst. I saw it 5 years ago and knew then and there that this was the most grotesque piece of animation
Oh
I
my
would ever sit
God.
through.
What? I'm sorry, I got distracted. What were you saying?
The guy at the video store gave me a strange look when I rented this, and 12 seconds into the show, I knew exactly why. As I mentioned in my controversial cartoons video, I actually really liked the Drawn Together series. True, it was gross and controversial, but it managed to use this gross humor to both shock and laugh, and in order to leave a lasting impact, and there was a sense of well-meaning behind its humor. But this movie was, in its own unique category of bad. Nothing is off limits to this show. All my mind originally remembered of this show was this hazy piece of grotesque imagery.
Why don't you suck my taint?
Good God, and it just keeps going. I probably should hate this show, but there's no other show I know that can discuss turning a woman's afterbirth into popsicles for terminally ill children and still not making me hate them for it. Unlike Family Guy, There is no sense of malice behind what they do, and there's a complete self-awareness that they're completely bottom of the rung garbage. I've never seen such vile concepts done in such good humor. Every single minute of this 90-minute runtime is designed to offend you. There is no limits on the show's grotesque imagery.
Molly! Oh, I love it when she does that.
The creators make
Oh
Seth
my
look like a
God.
Catholic priest during
Illuminati.
sermon hours. The creators openly admitted they had
what?
no ideas for this movie, so they just basically put together whatever came up from the top of their heads. This unfortunately makes the movie unbelievably tedious, to the point where I was begging to skip 30 minutes ahead the first time watching it. That being said, you can tell the voice actors really loved doing this show. You can look at the behind the scenes interviews and they really show they had a personal love for this show. I can see how much fun these voice actors were having together in the studios, and strangely enough, it made me believe this monstrosity was actually a work of love, as absolutely vile as it was.
Oh, is that a puppy? No!
So, I don't hate this movie, but by God, I don't recommend it.
So I do think this is it, right? This has gotta be it. This is the network will remember why they hate this show so much when they see the movie. And then that'll be that.
Number 2. Brian's a Bad Father and American Fun. Family Guy and American Dad. I've gone on about these in my Worst American Dad and Family Guy, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I really do hate these two episodes. The animation may be good, the budget of this show may be big, but these two episodes were despicable. At least most of these other cartoons had the excuse of having a $2 budget or a minuscule team behind them. What is Seth's excuse for these things? American Fun is unbelievably unpleasant, tedious, and just plain traumatizing at times. While Brian's a Bad Father had what I personally consider the worst joke I have ever heard in animation to date, it made me lose the little respect I had for Seth after it, and it would be a disfavor to you all to repeat the joke again. See my Worst Family Guy list if you do really want to see it. I realize Family Guy and American Dad aren't meant to be highbrow humor, but these two episodes well and truly cross that line from going from lowbrow shock jokes to cruel, spiteful, vindictive, and disturbing animation.
It's like somebody left their
I like Family Guy a lot.
Tell that get the hell out of here before I kick him in the face.
And worse yet, it's mainstream, and the creator has over a decade of experience with these, so there is absolutely no excuse for them. But enough about these two episodes. I personally don't think they deserve any further attention. Before we get to number 1, I wanted to make a couple of quick honorable mentions. Food Fight. It's lazy, it's got bad messages, it's phoned in, and it's kind of annoying. But Nostalgia Critic already covered this one way better than I ever could, so I decided to leave it off the list. Felix the Cat, the movie. This is among the cheapest animation I've ever seen. All I see is the third world animators when I see this stock crap. It has annoying voices and abysmal animation. But again, Doug covered it way better, so I gave it a pass. And with that said, let's get to number 1. And without a doubt, the number 1 worst cartoon I have ever seen is Ren Seeks Help. Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon. This cartoon is rotten to the core. I don't know how else to describe it. It was abysmal in every sense of the word. It was the most abysmal piece of animation I have ever watched. By far. It is insulting, ugly, grotesque, anger-inducing, and it just brings about every bad emotion a person could ever possibly feel. This episode was traumatizingly bad.
Finish the job, you pussy!
Ren Seeks Help isn't a cartoon. It is just a vile nightmare from beginning to the end. The nightmare of a psychopath. It's about mutilation, domestic abuse, torture, and just the exploration of a psychopathic mind that takes pleasure in the pain of others. There's definitely a fine line when gross humor goes from comedy to just plain cartoon horror.
Torturing that poor
And
frog.
I can comfortably say this cartoon is unpleasant, from frame 1 to the very end. It even opened with what sounds like horror music, followed by Stimpy bawling for 3 minutes. No wait, it's dragged out to 5 minutes. Where am I meant to be laughing at this? Look, now Ren's in a miserable, depressed void. Jeebus, this is depressing to watch. It's like watching some demented drug trip nightmare. It's weird because it seems like they're not even trying to make us laugh. How about we now watch the complications of birth from Ren? Does this sound like fun? Then we watch the process of Ren becoming a demented psychopath that has the inherent desire to inflict pain on others. This is awful. It's just a fact you'll feel sick after watching it. This show was clearly designed for the blind and deaf, because no adult or child could look and hear this show and not hurl up their lunch. Even my friend's cat seemed to be insulted and angry after watching this show. Yes, the original Ren and Stimpy cartoons could be gross, but it was also clever, edgy, smart, and very sharply voice acted. It helped mold modern controversial cartoons today. Adult Party is not to be watched. It is a forgotten piece of crap trash that is the most revolting piece of... No, garbage is too good a word for this show. Crap is too good a word for this show. It is that bad. I do not know what world this cartoon was good in. What disturbed mind could find this horrible crap funny? An interesting side note, this cartoon was apparently so bad that Stimpy's original voice actor refused to work on the show. We then go on to discuss the process of assisted suicide.
Oh my god.
Why is there happy music, you ask? Because this creature is in so much pain that it wants to die. That makes it happy. That is disturbing and vile in every sense of the word. But Ren can't kill the animal he mutilated because he wants to cause it further pain. What the hell? Even if its content isn't as controversial as the Drawn Together movie, it is rotten in every sense of the word. Oh god. This abomination just keeps going on. This has been the longest 20-minute cartoon I have ever watched. I took freaking breaks every 5 minutes to get through it all. And it turns out Ren can't be helped. The psychologist brands him legitimately a psychopath, and wow, we get more beatings. Only 2 minutes to go. Then mutilation. Decapitation. I'm almost through this. Cannibalism. 1 minute to go. We watch the tortured frog drag his mutilated body across the room. Oh, just finish already. What more is there to say? And we end with it finally committing suicide. It's over! By Jeebus, it's over! Oh, thank you. I don't want to understand the mind that actually finds this funny. Well,
nobody would ever find this
funny. Say, if you do enjoy this, good for you. It's just my personal opinion. I can't understand the mind that could gain humor from this. Oh boy. There is no contest. This is the worst animation I've ever seen. Hands down, no contest. It is. I have never seen a cartoon get so dark, so deplorable, and so removing of any of the decency of humanity. It is vile, and I never, ever recommend anyone watch it. You really do have to look hard for these shows, though. And to most of these cartoons' credit, we quickly forget about them. They quickly fade into oblivion, where they belong, and we instead celebrate the beautiful, clever, funny, emotional, and thought-provoking cartoons we were given growing up. And these cartoons truly changed many of us for the better.
I never want to
That being
see
said, I know
any
there's
of
a
those
plethora
things
of bad animation
ever
out there.
again.
So if you do think
Ren
there's
and
particularly bad
Stimpy
one I missed, feel free to let me know in the
just
comments.
creepy.
I thank you for braving this journey with me. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
He may be small, but he eats.
Alright guys, well, that's gonna be it for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, this was Javier, and I will see you next time. Bye.